Firstly, I'd like to say how much I admire Mr. Green. My question relates to a vaguely similar case, which I recall from a few years ago. I seem to recall an MI5 officer was working in Northern Ireland in the IRA struggle. And in the course of that work, he uncovered what he claimed was a network of London politicians and government officials who were flying into Northern Ireland and taking young girls and boys from the Dr. Barnardo's home there for sexual pleasure. He had a wife who was having an affair with another guy, and that man was murdered, and he was charged with the murder and put away. Now, some of you here may recall this case. It did make some press, and certainly was in the early internet. He got out of jail almost about 2 years ago and was rearrested before leaving the jail and put back inside on another charge. Do you know this case?
No, I'm afraid I don't. I must say, as a result of the Hollie Greig case, I've been approached by many people, and I do mean a lot of people, explaining some terrible things that are going on. But obviously, I'm only able to talk about the Hollie case. I'm sure a lot of the people that have said it was absolutely true, but I don't actually know about this case. But there are a lot of things coming forward, and I hope that a lot of other cases will come to light as a result of our efforts with Hollie. I do hope that will happen, and I hope that a lot of other people will get justice as well. That you know, things that have not been brought into the public domain at the moment.
In Australia, we have a series of cases involving a gentleman from the Northern Territory who was a minister in the Keating government. He died, and when he died, some young kids came out and said that they were being abused by him. And it's been suggested in Australia that people don't get actually put up as candidates in various parties unless the powers that be have something on them, and that the preferred something is that they've been active as a paedophile. Is there any evidence of that here?
Not really. I've been asked that about certain people who've been involved in the cover-up, but other than the perpetrators themselves, I haven't got any evidence to support anyone else on that. As I think it was was it Yes Minister or something like that? You may very well think that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
Thanks.
Robert, I really have absolute admiration for you, but two short questions. My first one is there a danger in that exposing so much at this stage that it could influence or have a negative effect on any future trial?
I guess that is a possibility, but unless we expose it, nothing would ever be said at all. I'm afraid it's a chicken and egg situation. It would be totally swept under the carpet if we didn't bring everything out. Instantly, just one other very quick thing that I didn't say during the discussion was, in fact, Hollie was actually given a sexually transmitted disease in 1990 when she was 9 years old by a perpetrator in the gang. We have medical notes that we only got very recently pointing to that. And a doctor has signed that, not involved in the case, an honourable man called Dr. Paul Carter. But in 1990, Hollie was obviously at risk then. So that was never brought to the attention of the people involved.
My last question is, do I understand that there are some Masonic connections with Hollie's father and perhaps others?
That I don't know. I don't know. Again, it's kind of thing that does come up quite a lot, and I'm often asked that question. But in fairness, I can only go on the evidence that is before me, and it would be unfair to involve or name any particular organisations at all on this, because I haven't really got any evidence to support that at the present time. Thank you.
Just two quick questions. You said when the social services came to take the mother away,
yes,
that there was a neighbour there.
Yes.
Could she not be a witness even though all evidence had vanished?
Well, actually, thank you. It's a good point. We don't actually need the neighbour, because actually we do have written evidence ourselves. We hold documents that the other side claim they haven't got. So we have got the evidence from the doctor, from Dr. Palin himself, about sectioning Anne. So we have got that. We don't have to worry about that, because even if they haven't got it, we have.
Right. And the second question. The perpetrators of Hollie's ordeal, could you not bring a private case against each individual?
Yes, I think that would probably be the case. The main problem is that we've had great difficulty. It has to be done under Scottish law, unfortunately. And because of the Scottish system, Anne tried many times in the past to try and get someone in Scotland to act for her on that, but nobody will. Because the problem is, in Scotland, because of these very powerful law firms, who I explained earlier, control the country, any lawyer decent enough to actually try and act for someone like Anne against the interests of this particular cabal and the puppet Scottish government would be crushed in no time at all.
So, sorry, where do you go from there then?
Sorry?
Where do you go from there?
Well, all we can do is to use the media and try to mobilise the support of the Scottish people themselves. Through media and through perhaps the coming general election, if enough people put pressure on, then that will be the case. Incidentally, I would just like to say there have been 2 demonstrations already in Scotland, in Glasgow and in Edinburgh. There's another one organised by Scotland Against Crooked Lawyers on the 1st of April, at 12 noon at St Giles Cathedral, and there's a planned march of 500 people in Aberdeen. So things are happening all the way. This is really the only way that we can get it out. Hopefully, if the media will take up the story and the people of Scotland themselves will take to the streets. It sounds like a bit of a crude way of doing things, but I think that probably has to be the way in order to bring these people down.
I was just wondering if anyone tried to get a question asked on Question Time to Alex Salmond about it.
Well, apparently 1 or 2 people did get in there, actually, but whether they actually managed to get a question across, I don't know. But I'm sure it would have been edited out, because obviously the BBC hopelessly compromised on this case anyway. They would be very severely embarrassed if this story comes up at this point because of their own conduct in the Hollie Greig case.
Sure. But no one actually told you that they tried to get a question asked?
No, I haven't found that out yet. It was only on Thursday night, I know, and I know a couple of people were going to try and get in there and try and get a question across. What happened, I'm afraid I don't know yet. I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
Thank you. They did? Really? Oh, thank you very much for that. There's a lady who's got the answer that, yes, he refused, Alex Salmond refused to answer. Don't forget, everybody, Alex Salmond leads the Scottish, the leader of Scotland, really, the First Minister, is in effect trying to protect a man who infected a 9-year-old girl with Down syndrome with a sexually transmitted disease. That's what it boils down to. He knows all about it, and he is trying to protect that person. It is evil. It's disgusting. And how can he stand there? And as you say, on Question Time, you'd been nailed on that one.
Okay, we have another question here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd just like to say, really, it's great to hear people do marches and things, but I always think a bit of a stronger action should be taken, perhaps, seeing as the media don't want to get involved. What about not paying your TV licence? Getting that, we can tell people... We've got one of the best mediums we can use to advertise this fact, which is the internet. We can let as many people as we know as possible to encourage not paying the TV licence, as the BBC don't want to get involved. And I think that's one of the best things we can do. And maybe for any other kind of similar situations like this that keep occurring.
I think it's a very good suggestion, actually, a very positive suggestion. Thank you for that.
I'm quite willing to start it off straight away and not paying mine right away.
Great, absolutely
as long as
fantastic.
I get support.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take these last 2 questions, and there we must leave it.
Thank you.
Because Ian needs to speak. One more here.
Yes, Hello, Robert. I just wanted to say I've obviously heard quite a bit about the Hollie story before, but to hear you speaking tonight has really, really touched my heart. And you said earlier on that, on behalf of Anne and Hollie, that they don't want to accept any monetary help.
No, that's
but,
right.
There must be something else that individually we can do, write to whoever. I mean, I'm quite prepared to do it.
Yes, I think so. I think if you really bombard the MPs in the general election, every single MP in the UK has been told about this story, by the way. And I think it's very important that recently the Lothian and Borders were prepared to take up another issue that I haven't mentioned to you about evidence being falsified after my interview. And I think that's another side to it as well. Crimes have been committed, even after I've been arrested. The Grampian police falsified evidence that I gave to the police, recorded evidence. So there's all kinds of things that can be done. But in the letter that I wrote to the Chief Constable of Lothian and Borders to investigate what had happened in the Grampian area, I also copied in Alex Salmond, the Prime Minister Gordon Brown, and David Cameron, the leader of Her Majesty's Opposition. Also, Nick Clegg of the Liberal Democrats has been told about this. What I'm saying openly now, have any of those three gentlemen, Gordon Brown, David Cameron, Nick Clegg, have they got the guts to take this story on? It's a story of national interest. Are any of the three of you big enough to do it? That's what I would like to know. Yeah.
So following on from that then, so to write to our local MP is something.
Yes.
What about if all of those of us who are prepared to put pen to paper were to write to the Scottish police?
Oh yes, very much so. That would be very helpful. They'll probably try to ignore you, but you'll put them. But I think you know that already. But the more pressure, the better, in whatever way you think fit.
Okay, thank you.
A petition might work as well. The only thing you have to watch out with petitions, they have to be done in a certain way, I think, before anybody takes any notice of them. I don't know the wording of it and everything like that, but I've been told they will just legally, they can just dismiss a petition if it's not worded in a particular way. It's a good idea. We just need to know how to do it properly first.
Hi, thanks, Robert. You're a very brave man. I'm a little bit attached to the Whole Truth Coalition website with Anthony Beckett from up in Skipton, who has started a new website for Hollie to get the power of the internet community. I wonder if you'd like to tell everybody about the new site and also a little bit about the conference in Stafford on the 10th of April. I know Brian Gerrish has mentioned it already, just the last thing.
But just want to mention the site to everybody. If just you
I
mention.
Yeah. It's called holliedemandsjustice.org.
Fine.
A brand new site, a lot of linked in with David Icke's site. We have a lot of power in the internet community. The truth activists are right behind you, Robert.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the 10th with Kevin Annett.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to that too. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And if anybody, just finally, if anybody's, well, just a couple of things, it won't be a second. If anybody's in the northwest can get up to St Anne's tomorrow, you might have to listen to the same stuff again, but I'm going to be speaking there tomorrow night at the New Horizons venue in St Anne's tomorrow night. But I would just like to say that this story is not about me. It's about the two wonderful ladies, Hollie Greig and her mum Anne. They're absolutely fantastic, and I would like to thank you once again for all your wonderful support. They'll be so thrilled about the reception that you've been kind enough to give me this evening. Thank you all.
Robert Green, thank you. A standing ovation, well deserved. Thank you very much. Fantastic.